We're back to talk about Elizabeth Holmes. She was recently sentenced, and now we're going to find out where she's going to be serving out that sentence. It is a minimum security facility, it's a women's facility. But let's backtrack, just bring you back up to speed on where things were with her, where things are now, where she was even living during this time this trial was going on. You guys are going to be so surprised. You're going to be like, Sheila, I'm not surprised that's where she was living. A Stanford College dropout who raised over $700 million for this blood testing startup that she founded, and then she brought in Sunny Balwani, or you can say he sort of co-founded it with her. I guess it depends on what your definition of those terms are. Then you had the whole Hulu miniseries, which I watched. I feel like I should do a whole video just talking about that, but I did watch that because I did find it interesting. I have a science background. I worked in a lab for a while. I did testing for toxoplasmosis, for measles, for syphilis. So, yes, I had on a lab coat and I did that sort of stuff. So, I understand how important it is to get these test results right. Okay. So, if you haven't seen my other video, go back and take a look at it. But now she is headed to prison. Now, at one time, she was the star. Forbes was calling her like the highest self-made billionaire or something. I think they valued her worth at like $9 billion. Can you imagine $9 billion? You've dropped out from college, you've raised 700 million. People believe in you so much. Now, we could have a whole nother video just talking about who in society is in an easier position to get people to believe in them. And we've talked about, or you've heard about, pretty privilege. There's also the school that you go to and the alumni that you're able to network with. And so, going to just your local school, your local community college, yes, it's going to be absolutely fabulous for you if you're going to stay in that area because, hey, that's going to be your network. If you're building some sort of business there, you can tap into all of the people that you grew up with, family and friends. But if you're looking to cast a wider network, then you're going to need to be someplace where the network is just bigger. Bigger fish, bigger pond. I don't know. You're looking at the ocean. But we understand that who she was, where she went to school, who she surrounded herself with, played a lot into how she was able to carry on that fraud for so long and to have so many people look the other way. Okay. So now she's been sentenced. Remember, she asked for leniency. There was a whole sentencing memo that her team put out. This was the conclusion because I didn't want to go through the whole thing for you again. What they're asking for is this part here. It says, although the defense views incarceration as unnecessary to meet that directive, okay, we've got some other stuff up here that they were talking about. If incarceration is deemed necessary, a period of incarceration of 18 months or less, followed by supervised release that includes a community service condition, will more than capture the retributive and deterrent goals of sentencing while ensuring that our society's resources are not wasted. Incarcerating someone who poses no danger to it, who in the eyes of the public will never be truly free of even the counts on which she has been exonerated, and who will devote her life to meaningfully serving her fellow human beings. And so that is what they were asking for. They were asking for a term of 18 months. And in the end, she actually got a term of 11 plus years, a little over 11 years. That was what the judge gave her. So now she's headed to this women's facility that's in Texas. We can't talk about this without talking about the fact that she's going to prison pregnant. And this is not just a conversation about her, but this is a conversation about women in general because men aren't really ever going to go to prison pregnant. Okay. But women are. So there's that whole context. Then there is the lost opportunity for mother child bonding. Now, granted, she put herself in this position. Okay. So let's make sure we understand that part, that this didn't necessarily have to occur this way. At some point in time, she and her husband, William Billy Evans, whatever his name is, they made a decision, and the this is the outcome. They have one son, and now they're going to have another child. And we can have a lot of conversation about whether or not that was a good decision or not, but we are now to the point that she is pregnant. There's also the conversation around whether or not she was using the pregnancy to get leniency from the jury and from the judge, hoping that the pregnancy would bring some sympathy and that she wouldn't have to serve as much time. All of that being said, she is now headed to this facility in Texas. This is the Federal Bureau of Prisons website, FPC Bryan. So, Federal Prison Camp Bryan in Bryan, Texas. But let's scroll through here and you can see some of the information just that they have on the website, visiting schedules. They also have a whole handbook here, admissions and orientations handbook. So this is where she's going to be staying. This is the handbook that they give the women who are going to be there. And it says here, this is a minimum security facility located on 37 acres. This is in Bryan, Texas. They've got some contact information there. Your strict compliance to the rules and regulations of the facility are an essential part in exhibiting the responsible behavior required at this institution. And this is a pretty long handbook. So it says within 28 days of arrival, inmates will participate in the admission and orientation program. They may have unit teams. It says each inmate is assigned to a housing unit. And then this is the breakdown of the unit staff. You've got a unit manager, a case manager, a correction counselor, unit secretary, unit officer. Communications, they go over all of this. And this is the piece I think that sort of stuck out here. Release preparation begins on the first day of incarceration. This sort of understanding that we know at some point in time you're going to be released back out into the world. We hope that you will make different choices so that you don't have to come back for a return visit. Then we have town hall meetings. So town hall meetings are held to make announcements and to discuss changes in the policy and procedures of the unit. Inmates are encouraged to ask pertinent questions of the staff and any guest speakers who are present. These questions should pertain to the unit as a whole rather than personal questions or problems. So daily inmate life, they talk about sanitation, they talk about personal property limits, storage space, clothing. Of course, you can't wear any outside clothing. Letters, books, and photographs. I did even see something in here, hobby craft materials. Staff shall limit an inmate's hobby shop projects within the cell or living area to those projects which the inmate may store in designated personal property containers. And there is a piece in here that talks about jewelry. You can have a plain wedding band or appropriate religious medallion or chain without stones be worn inside of the shirt. Can't exceed the value of $100. Talks about making up bed. Wake up time is 6 a.m. I think lights off. I think I saw somewhere it was around 10:30 or something like that. But yes, this handbook goes on and on and on. It talks a lot. It talks a lot about visitation too. So that's pretty much where she's going to be. Now, I started talking about where she lived and I got totally off track. But if you just Google Elizabeth Holmes, Billy Evans' house, that's what I did to get an idea of where they were staying before she was sentenced. You guys, the prison camp is 37 acres. This place is extravagant. It was called a mega mansion, I think, and I think the value is around like $135 million. It's got several swimming pools. It's got several houses actually on the property. It's a very large property. But let me see if I can pull up just the Google search on that. I put in the Google search bar Elizabeth Holmes Billy Evans house, and this is what came up. Now, some of these are also the house that she used to stay in before, but you can see here when you put in that Google search, this is the estate that I'm talking about. And you can actually go to Christie's website to get a look at the property. There's a whole video there that shows you a lot more about the property. There's this long ride that this guy is in, this old convertible MG, old only because they don't really make those anymore, but it looks like it's in great shape. Somebody kept that car up. And he's driving through and he's sort of talking about it. And there's this narrative that's going on while you see this estate. It is a very large estate. Like I said before, several houses on the estate. I think it's over 70 acres. It's got several swimming pools, and that's where supposedly she lived while the trial was going on. And so she's now no longer staying there with her partner or husband. I'm not sure if they've gotten married, and their son. And then I think they had maybe a dog or something like that too. So they were on this property. That is where she was living, even as things were going on with the trial. And now, of course, she's headed to this minimum security facility down in Bryan, Texas, where now she's going to be subject to a whole lot of different rules than she's used to being subject to. I'm hopeful that her family will be able to come and visit her, because as even though there were all of those things wrong that she did, the children are going to pay a huge price for this. So I can only hope that you know that they are well taken care of and well loved. And it sounds like there's no shortage of money. Not that that's everything, but yeah, hopefully it'll be a little easier for them to get to from California to Texas to go see her. And I don't know, maybe there's not a women's minimum security facility in California. I have no idea, but she is going to be down in Texas serving this 11 like 0.25 year sentence, and we'll see how it goes. But that's it. You now know where she's headed, how long she's going to be there, what the facility looks like, and some of what she's going to be doing. So I've never visited a prison, so I didn't do criminal law, so I don't really have a whole lot of experience with being at a prison or visiting clients at a prison or anything like that. But I wish them all the best. That's it. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, and peace.